Look at the program. Obviously, LeBron is topic one.
Oh, man, come on, man. We were supposed to – Jay, we was talking about it last time. You didn't went on vacation, came back. Zach Jackson –
I thought it was going to happen when I was gone.
Zach didn't went on vacation and came back. I think Jason Lloyd is going on
I took a day off for a wedding.
And I'm leaving at the end of Wednesday, and I still don't know if this man is going to do something.
You know, imagine being one of ESPN's NBA guys. You can't go on vacation.
You just –
You know, if you do, you better be able to be available at a minute's notice and for an undetermined length of time, because they're going to bring on everybody once LeBron finally makes his decision. But everybody is in a holding pattern, and we've got some Rich Paul sound. Rich Paul was on a podcast, was basically
his podcast.
Yeah,
Mind the Game.
Was basically saying that you may think you know, but you don't, because nobody knows, and they've done that intentionally. Of course, you know when the circle's tight. That's very intentional. Let's listen to what Rich Paul had to say about the whole LeBron decision and when it might happen.
I won't get into what's the latest, but let me say this. Pat's not doing that, but neither is no one else. And it's not because there's not a want. It's because I'm telling them, you don't have to do that.
He hasn't made his mind
We
up
don't
yet.
need what people are trying to perceive to put out there on all these other shows, and you got the older guys saying what they think. No one, I'll say it again, none of these people know anything. Nobody knows nothing. And I say that respectfully because we haven't made it to where anybody knows anything.
But let me take your temperature on something.
Sure. But let me finish
okay,
first.
go
Let me finish. So I think it's important for people to understand, we're not making this about attention and a spectacle. It's not about a decision or anything like that. He has a choice to make. He has a business choice to make. We're not going to sit here and decide or allow someone else to decide when he makes that decision or that choice. It's a business choice that he's making. And I think as an athlete, why is it that an athlete has to rush his choice?
Okay, I want to answer that.
Because from a business perspective, you are making a choice between jobs, high-level jobs, and you've earned the right. You're a big-time executive that's with an unbelievable, arguably the best resume in the history of your job. Who's rushing you?
Okay.
Nobody.
Well, actually, Max Kellerman he did a good job there. He was trying to answer that question. It was clearly a rhetorical question on behalf of Rich Paul, but the obvious answer is everybody's waiting on you. It's not just LeBron in a silo. It's the league and their scheduling. It's all of the television networks who not only have to schedule the basketball games, but have to fill a 24/7 schedule around basketball games. So who else is waiting? Well, Draymond Green is waiting.
Yeah.
Jonathan Kuminga. James Harden is waiting. There are a lot of free agents in the wings waiting for the big domino to fall. So I felt it was a little either disingenuous or, I don't know, stuck in the clouds for Rich to say, who's waiting? No one.
All of us.
Yeah, we're all waiting, and this has a gigantic impact on the league's scheduling. I was joking with Jason Lloyd yesterday that if he ends up joining the Cavaliers, they go from 20 primetime national televised games to 40 to 50. If he goes to Golden State, they go from having 42 nationally televised games to 81 of their 82 games being on national TV.
Your whole Christmas Day lineup is held
changed.
up.
Adam Silver said, we are not willing to put out the schedule yet till we know where LeBron James is playing, because in his possibly farewell season, what could be his last year of an illustrious career, we want to make sure we celebrate and broadcast it to a national audience as often
and that's reasonable,
and as frequently
Mike.
as can. And that is perfectly reasonable. And I have no issue with Adam Silver saying that. To me, this whole LeBron, Rich Paul holding up the league comes down to them exerting their power over everyone one last time, right?
Yeah,
LeBron,
I feel that too.
LeBron and Rich Paul and Clutch and this decision, basically, he has the NBA in his hands right now, right?
He does.
The whole league is waiting on LeBron. And when you've been in that position for 2+ decades, which is crazy to say, by the way, that he's been in that position for as long as he has, and he's still as relevant as he is, what better way to remind the masses, hey, we're still in control. We may not be peak LeBron. We may not be 12th year LeBron, which was winning MVPs and earlier. We're in our 23rd, 24th season. We still hold the power, and we're going to twist it one last time just to remind you who really is in control of this situation.
Pretty remarkable, really. G, what's your take on it?
This right here is the art of the deal. The art of negotiation. So as I look at this, I look at it like, sometimes when you're younger and you get a number in your mind. You say, this is the number that one day if I become successful, that's the number that's going to validate what I am. But you're young. You don't know what the industry is. You don't know any of the surrounding things. And then you go into the first negotiation and they tell you, all right, we'll give you that number. No pushback. You're like, dang, what a new number. I said, hold on, though. I should have went a little higher than that. Maybe at least got me some PTO out of that, a couple weeks of vacation. I feel like what happened was LeBron is at this point where he felt like he was going to throw a number out here and some demands. And because he was in LA and they pretty much weren't really counting on him to be the guy anymore, they weren't running nothing by him really. So he got back in the job market and started putting feelers out and realized, oh, so you guys do like me still. Oh, Philadelphia is interested? Who else is it? Rich, who else is it? Well, you got Cleveland.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Oh, Minnesota
Miami,
too. The Spurs.
State.
Draymond didn't push back some money. So now he's looking around, and I felt like he was supposed to, in his mind, get a couple little offers, weigh them, and just get it out the way and do it. But what started to happen was now he threw an offer out there. The offers are higher. The situation is better. And for the first time, I think in the last 3 or 4 years, it became real. He actually feels like, oh, wow, all of these teams that I can go to potentially could win a championship. And I asked Jason Lloyd 1,000 times, I said, do you believe LeBron feels his days are done being a guy that can compete for a championship? And he said at some point in time, he did think that. I think that's being rekindled by all of this stuff. And I think literally, he had to go back and say, okay, I got to really take this seriously, Jay. I got to really think about this because I thought he was going to get an offer from the Cavs. That was just it. He was going to go back home in it. But when you get Steph Curry and you get all these other teams that are interested, now he's thinking basketball-wise. Notice Rich Paul, what he said, he a little emotional. He's like, this is a business decision. He said it 6 times. I said, oh, well, I thought it was the farewell tour. How you feel?
When he says business decision, it's business decision in terms of where could I win, because he's come out and said this is not about money. This is about happiness and the right basketball fit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As soon as Rich Paul came out and said it's not about money and LeBron may be willing to play on the veteran minimum, that opened the door for all these other teams. To your point earlier, if he thought he may have gotten 1 or 2 offers and now there's 6 or 7 people vying for his services, they couldn't do that if LeBron demanded a maximum contract or a contract that is actually worthy of the caliber of player he is. LeBron on the vet minimum, if he ends up playing on the vet minimum this year, will be the best bargain in the NBA outside of Victor Wembanyama
in history.
Yeah, I mean, take rookie contracts out of the equation. It'd be the best free agent value in the history of the league. And you know who can sign players on the vet minimum? Teams in the second apron, teams in the first apron, teams in the luxury tax. Yeah. Do you know who doesn't have the money to sign LeBron to what he's actually worth, which is around a $25 to $30 million player still? Basically anyone in the NBA, because of how the second apron, the first apron, and the new CBA restricts them from spending. So LeBron saying it's not about the money, I'm willing to play for less, has opened the door to these other teams that he may not have thought were possibilities, that now, when you look at it from a basketball fit standpoint, he's saying, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe I could win at that destination with this team, with that roster. When it's all said and done, I still think it ends up being Cleveland for the combination of all the factors we've talked about. But the willingness to play on a less than market value for himself is why there are so many teams that are still in contention.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Because I want to get your perspective.
Yep.
We know I saw something with Jim Gray, and he talked about how LeBron went about it with the decision, right? You've seen it. You've covered him coming back. You've covered him leaving. As this thing moves on, what is the I guess effect on people in Cleveland as this thing wears on? Are you putting yourself in a situation that if he does not sign with Cleveland,
yes,
it almost in a way drug out longer than the decision in a certain way?
If he doesn't come to Cleveland, the best scenario for him, and I don't think he's taking this into account at all. I don't think he cares about this, but we care. Mm-hmm. If he cares what his legacy is ultimately going to be in the city of Cleveland, his best option, if it's not Cleveland, is Philadelphia. Because if he leaves Cleveland at the altar for Golden State, we know what that means.
Yeah.
If he leaves Cleveland at the altar for a second time for South Beach,
Yeah, that's
It's an indictment. It'd be an
that's-
indictment on the team.
I don't know that it would be an indictment on the team so much as it paints LeBron into a corner. We talked about this yesterday on Channel 3. LeBron fatigue is absolutely real.
Yep.
Ask any NBA fan, ask any Cleveland fan. All of the folks that I've talked to, not just locally, but across the country, are done with it. They're done. And I know Rich Paul makes a case. He's earned this right. Well, it almost sounds to me like he's taking this much time because he's earned the right to do that. Look, if you need a week, take a week. If you need 2, take 2. If you need 3, take 3. But at some point, you're holding up the machine that is the NBA. And we're at that point. When the commissioner came out last Friday and said, enough already, let's make a decision. I think now we're in a battle of wills between LeBron and the commissioner. Oh.
You want me to speed it up?
Oh.
Interesting.
You're in a hurry?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
And LeBron, as you said, the entire NBA globe is in LeBron's hands and Rich Paul's hands right now. Now, this is the last time this will happen, unless he signs a 1-year deal, which I can't imagine. But if he signs a 1-year deal, we could be right back in this predicament next year. But the fact of the matter is, and I had said this, I think, on the show on Friday last week. I know I said it upstairs on Channel 3. I do think that because it's July and we have nothing else, we're making so much of this. But in the grand scheme of things, we're talking about a player who will be in his 42nd year and has won 1 championship in the last 9, and that was in the COVID bubble. So it's not like we're talking about LeBron of 2014. That was a massive deal. We knew wherever he went, and in 2010, we knew wherever he went, it was going to mean championships. We don't know that now. We don't know that. In all likelihood, he'll compete for a championship wherever he goes. But if he goes to an East team, he's still got to try to figure out Oklahoma City and San Antonio. So I do think that the LeBron fatigue is a real thing. We're kind of through with it. And if he is at all concerned about his legacy here, when he came back for the first time in 2010, after the decision and he decided to go to Miami, I remember I was hosting First Take and Skip said, I'm going to ask you a question. He's playing tonight in Cleveland. Are you standing and cheering or are you booing? And I said, that's a good question, and I'll understand either way. If you stand and cheer, I get it. If you stand and boo, I get it. But for me, I'm going to stand and cheer. I'm going to stand and cheer and make sure he knows how much this single fan appreciated what he brought to Cleveland. It wasn't a championship at that point, but it was relevancy. And when he left for the Lakers and came back, or he left to the Lakers and then came here the first time again, my thought on that was different. I'm like, I don't think he needs to be given a standing ovation.
Even after he delivered the championship.
And that was after he gave us what we ultimately wanted. LeBron said something very early in his career. I believe it was to Sports Illustrated, and they pulled that. It might have been Sporting News. They pulled the quote, and they highlighted it with a picture. And his phrase was, I'm not going to go chasing championship rings. And I remember reading that, and at the time I was much younger and much more naive, and I thought, wow, he's real. He is one of us. He is from here. He is going to, through hell or high water, he's going to do it here. And when he left, it crushed that image. And I was a grown-ass man at that point. I no longer had idolatry for professional athletes because I had worked with them for so long. But I was hugely disappointed in LeBron as a person. And then he went and won his championships in Miami, and he came back, and that was great. And he won one here, and that was awesome. But then he left again. And the second time, first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. I couldn't cheer the same way for him when he was a Laker. Although I will say, I did enjoy the video montage. I enjoyed seeing him get emotional over that. But if he goes to Philly or Miami or Golden State, I think the kid gloves are off. It would have been walking us to the altar so many times and flirting with the fire so many times and ultimately saying no. I don't think, and I'm just speaking from myself, but also from a lot of fans that have said, if he comes back again, it's not going to be pretty. And that's, I think, ultimately.
Even if he signs elsewhere, then comes back to Cleveland to play.
Yeah, when I say comes back again, I mean as a member of the 76ers or Golden State or Miami or whoever it might be. I'm not sure the reception will be very kind at all. And ultimately, you're remembered for what you did last. And so we'll never forget 2016, but we'll also never forget that he left and he flirted about coming back and chose somewhere else. Is he real Northeast Ohio? And I think you know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly know what that means. We'll see if LeBron is real Northeast Ohio.
I think if you look at it, I think there's some people who will feel like we would understand if you just said, I'm gonna just go to Golden State and that's just where it's gonna be and it's done quickly. Or I'm gonna go to Philadelphia.
You think Cleveland fans will understand that?
No, if he just came out and said,
I see what you're saying.
On the first day of free agency,
I agree with that 100%.
And then we would have been like, hey, no harm, no foul. Like,
100% agree with that.
But
to rake us for a month.
And as the thing starts going, then it's the reunion of the 16. And a lot of us remember that. Like the 10-year, how many shows did we do of the 2016 shows where then you get the guys together? We're seeing that. We're seeing JR and Chandler, and Tyson. It's just crazy. But you're right. There will be some people that will say, man, this hurts like the decision a little bit.
It comes down to the real life example. You're out. See a pretty girl, you go up, say what's up, and she says, not interested. You turn your head, you walk back, and you're fine.
No harm, no foul.
You know what sucks?
Yeah, it's like a quick slap to the face.
When you buy her 3 drinks, you talk all night, and then she Irish goodbyes before you get
exactly
right.
No.
Like
You've invested at that
hurts
point.
a lot worse than just saying no.
100%.
She answered your call the next day, and then you had a date set up, and then she goes to you.
Exactly.
I'm like, come on, bro.
Mike, you talk like you know from experience.
We've all been there.
I know. We know.
That's a great analogy, though, Mike. You're right, because we've invested now time and energy, and we're all waiting.
With bated breath.
Yesterday, the whole thing was, it's going to happen tomorrow. Patrick Beverley said it was going to happen yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How he had that information, I don't know. Clearly, it didn't happen yesterday. Then I keep hearing a lot of different people saying, tomorrow's the day, tomorrow's the day, tomorrow's the day.
I've heard that.
But then when you hear Rich Paul say, anybody that says that doesn't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about, which makes it seem like this could carry on and linger on day after day. For a moment, I thought, I wonder if he's at the ESPYs. I thought maybe he would, if he was presenting, maybe he would, of course, that would steal everybody else's thunder from the night. But I don't know. We sit and we wait together. I will say this. We talked about, I think, the last chapter of LeBron's book and how it could be so unbelievable coming home, bookending the 16, 11 years later with none of the same teammates, and how wonderful that would be for Clevelanders. But there is another possibility. If he doesn't come here, say he goes to Philly, and the Cavs and the Sixers meet in the East Finals, and the Cavs knock LeBron out, that would probably be the next best thing to winning a title with LeBron.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it would say, okay, we didn't need you after all.